Well, we were running hot for the past couple of weeks, and then we ran into a buzzsaw known as CJ Stroud. I thought it was going to be the Bengals. Of anything I've gotten wrong this year, has to be the Bengals at home against the Houston Texans in Week 10. That had to have been it. They had the opportunities, but man, what a sieve that defense was on the ground against Devin Singletary. CJ Stroud again orchestrating a game-winning drive. The kid's magic. So you're probably not going to like a lot of the bets I'm on today, but stick with me. We got some good ones. Week 11 picks for every single game. Guys, hit that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. And leave a comment. More than anything, leave a comment down below. Let me know your favorite picks for the week. Let me know where you're at, and we'll ride these together. And, of course, follow me on Twitter at Loughy_D. Any picks? There's going to be a lot of props that come out throughout the week. And then, heading into Thanksgiving, for what it's worth, I got another baby on the way next week. So I don't know if I'll be here, but I do know that I'll be throwing props out on Twitter, even if the video is not here, LOUGHY_D, and picks as well. But let's get into it. We'll kick it off with some Thursday night football. Cincinnati Bengals, 4-point dogs against the Ravens. And, well, this one's tough for a couple of reasons. Man, I've had this twitch. For some reason, my eye's been twitching for like 5 straight days. But I'm just going to pass out and die here in the chair. If so, Jacob, feel free to post this. That would go viral. Would do better numbers than this video does on its own. All right, we're good. Bengals, 4-point dogs. Now, they're coming off a really devastating loss, like a legitimately devastating loss at home. They looked like the buzzsaw that we've been talking about. We just talked about with the Houston Texans. Not the case. I mean, the Texans came in after a big emotional victory against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Game-winning drive for CJ Stroud, 39 points. And the Bengals had just looked like a team that once Joe Burrow got healthy, they weren't going to lose. Well, they did. I'll say this much, though. On the other side, the Ravens are coming off a tough loss to the Cleveland Browns. Hell, apparently, Deshaun Watson, who is now done for the season, was playing with 47 different assortments of injuries last game, and they came through with the win, which is good because we bet the Cleveland Browns. But still, both of these teams, divisional spot, low total. Here's how I see it. First of all, if you want to get the Ravens, find them at -3. It's out there. I'm going to go with the Bengals, not because I'm looking to the Bengals to win. I'm not betting the money line here. But both teams coming off bad losses, divisional spot. Big game for both of them in a very tough AFC North, no doubt about it. Sure, they expanded the playoffs. More teams get in now. There's a lot of bad teams in each conference. But I'm looking at the Bengals +4. I would not be shocked at all if this game is decided by a field goal on the final drive, right? These teams are both super talented. I know T. Higgins is out, but you still have Jamar Chase, who's 1 week now removed from that back injury. They still have weapons. The biggest concern that I have, the biggest question I have now is, can that Cincinnati run defense hold up against the Baltimore Ravens rushing game? But because it's a divisional spot and these divisional games are so damn weird, this is one where I say I'll take the 4 points because it's outside of a field goal and hope that this comes down to the wire. I certainly think it can. All right, next up, the Dolphins are 12-point favorites against the Raiders here, 46.5-point total. It's funny, too, because laying this many points on any team never feels good. But at the same time, look at what we've been able to do. I mean us, right? Myself and you guys who have watched and tailed some of these plays all season long. Look what we've been able to do with the Miami Dolphins this season. We've been betting them when they're playing bad teams. We've been fading them when they're playing good teams. And it has worked like a charm, right? You look back even to the Patriots in week 2. They get that win by 7 at home. At home, 6-point favorites against the Broncos. They win by 50. Against the Giants, we bet this, -13. They win by 15. We bet them against Carolina at -14, and they won by 21. We bet them against New England at -7.5, -9.5, actually. It says 7.5 as a closing line here. But once that dropped below 10, we hammered it. They won by 14. You get my point. Then they lost outright to the Chiefs. They lost by 14 to the Eagles. They got smoked by the Bills. Need I go on? This Miami Dolphins team has been very, very predictable. And yeah, okay, fine. Antonio Pierce, congratulations. You have beaten now the New York Giants and the New York Jets in back-to-back weeks. Look, I'm not shitting on the guy. I like what he's doing there, right? This this isn't any type of criticism towards him. They haven't faced a single quality team since he took over. Come on now. You know, the Giants with Tommy DeVito after Daniel Jones went down. The Jets with Zach Wilson, who cannot do anything on offense, and they're wasting that team away. It's a lot of points, but I really do like the Dolphins here at -12. They crush bad football teams, and we're going to keep riding that wave because it's been real good to us all season long. Mind you, though, there are 13s out there. I've seen some 13s. Don't grab -12. BetMGM still has a -12 right now. Hit that. And for those of you guys that have been watching this a long time, or even if you're new to the channel, you always show that I'm throwing our odd shopper tools up on the screen in order for us to get, you know, the best bets. It's a market-based approach. We're saying we're going to use the books to beat the books. We're going to find the sharp books and find all the lines that go against that. Find plus EV, plus positive expected value bets. Well, right now at BetMGM, we have probably the biggest no-brainer offer ever. Even if you're like, no, I just like doing this casually, I don't really care about any of that. Sign up at BetMGM. We threw the link in the description and in the pinned comment. You deposit $10. Now, first things first is up to $1,500. If you lose your first bet, you get it all back in bet credits. So out of the gate, it's a win-win. You're getting also 2 months of our Odd Shopper Insider Access, Premium Insider Access, picks, premium picks from all of our experts, and a full month guaranteed of our Odd Shopper Premium tool. All of our Plus E market-based bets, everything across the board, the parlay builder, you name it, it's there 100%. All you have to do is sign up on BetMGM, deposit 10, and bet that $10. You've got all of that. 2 months insider access, 1 month of Odd Shopper Premium, all of our tools across the board. You'll get an email from BetMGM, and they'll hit you with a code. You'll be in business. So check that out if you haven't done so. Link in the description and in the chat. Must be 21 years older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's talk about the Panthers and the Cowboys. So, this is a spot where I think the public leans heavy on the Cowboys here, but you're getting the Panthers at as a 10.5-point home dog. I think you have to bet the Panthers here. It's ugly. It doesn't feel good. I can understand you pulling your hair out just listening to me say this right now, but the Panthers defense hasn't been terrible. Now look, the Cowboys have been an odd team this year. We saw them lose on the road against Arizona. They're still a good football team, no question. They were down to the wire, almost beat the Philadelphia Eagles. But is this not like the letdown spot of all letdown spots? Not to say they lose, but 10.5-point home dogs. That is the Panthers this week. Bryce Young has not looked good. We saw him on primetime the other week. It's ugly, no doubt about it. They should have swapped out his 2 primetime games for C.J. Stroud, who has none on the year. He hasn't looked good. But the Giants last week, they've given up on the season. It is over for them. As far as Bryce Young and company go, can you see this game in Carolina at home? Cowboys coming off just destruction of the New York Giants, covering at 10.5 points? I absolutely think you can. Like I said, public's probably going to be all over the Dallas Cowboys here. And on the surface, I totally get it. This feels like one of those spots, those letdown spots for the Cowboys, where they don't just come in and blow them out like they did the New York Giants, who are literally starting Tommy DeVito at the quarterback position. Bears and the Lions. All right, so we got word that Justin Fields is expected to start. So this is actually how I personally would want to play this game, because it's either a fade. I've seen some sharp people coming in on the Lions here, but for me at 8.5, it's either fade or wait for this to come down a little bit and take the Lions. I think that's actually possible. I think that's a real possibility here that, oh, Justin Fields is back. Okay, no more Division II Tyson Bagent in the mix. Look, admirable performance from him, fine. But he's not good. He's a Division II player from Shepherd University. What did you really expect? This might come down even further, especially now that just earlier, I'm recording this on Wednesday, Justin Fields, Matt Eberflus reported that he's expected to start. I could see this game going over the 47.5, but I could also see it getting down a little bit more and you bet the Lions. I mean, look, Jared Goff, when it comes to covering the spread, has been fantastic. He's at home in the Dome where he's performed incredibly. The only thing here, I think when you're looking back at covering the spread for the Lions, I do think it's just a little bit different compared to last season where they were always dogs, right? They were getting shorted every single week. We were all over the Lions last year because they were always dogs, no matter who they played. In this case, it's different. You know, they've been 9, 10-point favorites in games, but I'd like to wait for this to come down. I think it could, Right now, though, metaphorical gun to the head, give me the Lions at -8.5, even if Justin Fields is back. Too much offensive firepower there. And the Bears, where do they get exploited? Not as much through the ground, but all through the air. Lions can beat you up both ways. They have a great offensive line, and their defense is much improved from last season. Commanders and the Giants. All right, well, you're getting the Commanders inside 10 points right now. What else can I say? It truly feels like the Giants have given up. My buddy Ben Rasa, that I do all of our DFS, our daily fantasy shows with, over on the Stochastic YouTube channel. That's where all of this started. So it all started on over there. Before we had Odd Shopper, we've been doing that. We just had a guy take down $1 million with our Stochastic Sims tool, by the way, in the Millie Maker on DraftKings. So shout out to Short Gamer TV, another guy with 100K and another with a 10K, just in week 10, Dallas Cowboys stacks. You have to love that. But I digress. Ben said, if you're going to run guys like DeVito out there, I might have mentioned this to you guys last week, just do insane stuff. Stop running a traditional offense. Stop having him drop back and just get picked off, make mistakes, run for his life, do some wild stuff. But they're not. They're running a traditional offense. They're running Saquon Barkley into the line. And I know the Commanders lost Montez Sweat. I know they lost Chase Young. But does it matter at this point? They actually have a good functioning offense. They almost beat Seattle in Seattle, and the Seattle Seahawks were coming off a really brutal road loss to the Baltimore Ravens. You would have thought that was a spot where they take Washington to task, and they didn't. Eric Bieniemy is a great offensive play caller. In spite of everything Ron Rivera's done, I'll take the 9, and I'll lay the 9.5 on the Commanders. And until we see any sign of life from the Giants, and I just don't know how it's going to happen. That's the problem. I don't know how they're going to show signs of life. I know the Cowboys are markedly better than the Washington Commanders. I don't know how much it matters at this point. At no point last week was that game competitive. I think the Commanders can cover this 9.5, win by a touchdown and a field goal, and we're in business. Remember I told you guys you're not going to like some of my picks from this week? Well, here we are, because it's this one. Because with the Cardinals getting 5 points in Houston against the Texans, I'm going with the Cardinals. I talked about this last week with the Cardinals and Falcons as a spot where I like the over and a slight lean towards the Cardinals winning this outright. I think they were 1-point dogs. The problem with Houston is, well, one, I find ways to get them wrong each week. So you can figure that out. But the other thing is, like, CJ Stroud has been so good that I'm not sure how long this can continue until we start to see some regression. Remember earlier in the season, he hadn't thrown an interception and it was plastered all over the media forever. And our one bet from that game was, hey, we are betting right here on this video. We're going to bet CJ Stroud to throw an interception. It wasn't because he was more likely in that spot. Well, he kind of was, because the Saints have actually been pretty good at ball hawking opposing quarterbacks. But it was more so, this isn't going to last forever. Well, how much longer does it last for CJ Stroud? Could last this week and we get burned. That's possible. But the Cardinals with Kyler Murray back, let's stop pretending that that doesn't make a difference. It definitely makes a difference. They started Clayton Tune a couple weeks ago. Kyler Murray also rushed for, listen, his legs look good. I may have said this last week. If I didn't, I'll repeat it one more time. Why would you bring Kyler Murray back unless he's 110% healthy? What's the point? What's the point of bringing Connor back unless he's 110% healthy? Why bring Murray back if it's like, well, he probably won't be running much, but we think he can throw? The guy's 4'9". He needs to run. And he did run last game when it was necessary, got them into field goal range. That's why he's back. It's a lost season. They're not playing to win football games. You know, they're going to try to win, but they're not playing to make the playoffs. So with that in mind, yes, I think Kyler Murray moves the needle enough to where we say, all right, all of the hype is on the Houston Texans right now, across the board. Anybody and their moms is like, how could you not grab the Texans here? I think the Cardinals can keep this game competitive. Trey McBride's looked great. Kyler Murray was fine, acquitted himself well in his first game back. James Conner being back is a huge, huge difference maker. Yeah, give me the Cardinals +5. I'm not saying they win, but they certainly don't need to. +5, competitive game, maybe even a high-scoring one, but we'll take the points with the Cardinals on the road, with Houston coming off 2 massive emotional wins. Titans and Jags. All right, well, Will Levis just did not look good last week. They couldn't do anything. What was that, a 20-6 loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks in Tampa Bay? The Jaguars are coming off of a really embarrassing pitiful loss to the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, that was terrible. Mustered up 3 points, allowed north of 30. Niners were coming off 3 straight losses. Then they had their bye week. Trent Williams said, I don't care if I'm not 100%. I'm playing. Deebo Samuel was back. So that means you had McCaffrey, Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, who had a big game, 100-plus yards and a wide-open touchdown. And, of course, Trent Williams anchoring that offensive line. Not to mention, Brock Purdy didn't seem to be bothered much by that concussion that seemingly knocked him around a little bit in some previous spots. The bye week definitely helped them. Yeah, I like the Jags here to bounce back. You could make the argument, well, Mike Vrabel, dog, 6.5 points. This guy finds ways to keep games close, keep games competitive. You're right, but I just think the Jags can outmatch them. And Derrick Henry, man, he's been swarmed. He's been bottled up behind the line against good run defenses. The Jags are allowing 3.8 yards per attempt, 4th fewest rushing yards per game. The run defense has been very stout. If you're taking Derrick Henry out of the game, as we saw the Tampa Bay Bucs do last week, they were behind the line by the time he got the ball, before he got the ball. And then everything's forced into Will Levis's hands. And really the only guy in the passing game you have to worry about is DeAndre Hopkins. I think the Jags can bounce back here. They snapped the 5-game win streak. I think they get back on it. We're getting them inside a touchdown at -6.5. That's the spot I like. Chargers and Packers. Yeah, I don't know. You guys know I don't like betting the Chargers here. Yeah, we went with Detroit last week, and I think, what do we push on that? Can't even remember at this point with all these games. But it was a close game. Chargers managed to put up a ton of points. Looked rough early. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs ran all over them. This to me is Chargers -3 or fade. I really don't want much to do with it. I think the difference is if Aaron Jones was out, I don't really think that like running backs move the needle all that much. But on Green Bay, they do, because Jordan Love's been terrible. He's not good. He's not good under pressure. He's not good with a clean pocket. He's not good on deep throws. He hasn't been accurate. He can run a little bit, but that's about it. The Chargers can bring pressure. Aaron Jones, to me, would be the X factor here, because A.J. Dillon's a plodding running back who once in a while has a decent performance, but more times than not is going to hang that team out to dry. Aaron Jones makes a difference, because we saw that Chargers run defense get gutted for 200 rushing yards. If the Packers are capable defensively to kind of tamp down production from Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen and keep this game lower scoring, I think that's where Aaron Jones becomes the X factor. But I'm not convinced they can. You just don't want Jordan Love throwing the ball 40 times a game. If they do, they're almost certainly going to lose. Chargers -3. I'm just laying things out for you so you can get your own opinion of this game. But my opinion right now is that I'm not going to be touching it. Steelers and the Browns. Steelers 2-point dogs here against Cleveland. But Deshaun Watson, done for the year with the shoulder. Now, this game has a 34.5-point total. This is legitimately a preseason total. Like, this is what you'd see in the preseason. It's disgusting. It's heinous. But it's also, this isn't me discrediting either of these teams. Like, these are two good defenses, and it's a divisional matchup. These AFC North battles are awesome every single time. Like, if you can appreciate good defensive football, this is what I anticipate seeing in this game. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson is expected to start for this one. And the last time he started, it was in an AFC North game. Sorry. Granted, it was against Baltimore. They have a significantly better offense than the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he was 19 for 36. He threw for 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a fumble. This was a bad game for Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Look, he was awesome to watch, fun to watch in the preseason. I don't see any way that he is cut out for this matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Honestly, I would think that P.J. Walker, at least with the experience, is a better option, but that's not the way it's going to go, at least not for now. Mike Tomlin has a dog +2. This would be the spot we're rolling with. Look, both of these defenses are outstanding. We know that. We absolutely know that. And the Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada-led offense in Pittsburgh, they're not very good. But this is probably a war of attrition type game. They're just going to wear each other down until somebody finally breaks through with one score late in the game, which decides it. That's how I see it. The Steelers won earlier this season, and it wasn't the offense. There was a George Pickens 70-yard touchdown, but outside of that, it was 2 defensive touchdowns. That could be the case this week. If Kenny Pickett limits the mistakes, allow Dorian Thompson-Robinson to make the mistakes on his own. You can't lean on Nick Chubb anymore, so they're going to have to go Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If this is a defense versus defense battle, and then it's Kenny Pickett and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I say Pickett with Mike Tomlin as a road dog does just enough to get them the win late in this game. Pittsburgh +2. 49ers are 11.5-point favorites here. 41.5-point total. Man, are they firing on all cylinders after that their 3-game losing streak? It's amazing what getting like Trent Williams back and Brock Purdy not being concussed and having all of your skill players back on the field can do when you're as talented and as well coached as they are. This is a simple one for me. It's 49ers -11.5, BetMGM or Caesars, or the San Francisco 49ers over 26.5 points. So on our Odd Shopper tool right now, on Odd Shopper Premium, I just filtered by NFL, okay? And the highest ranked bet as far as EV, expected value, and our Odd Shopper rating goes is San Francisco 49ers team total over 26.5 points. Now, what we're doing, and that is on DraftKings, what we're doing here is very specific. When we're finding these bets, it's book specific. It's sportsbook specific. You're not just betting it anywhere. The reason is you look at the odds everywhere else. Pinnacle has it at -140 on 26.5. Caesars at -125. Much reduced juice, -115 on DraftKings, 26.5. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, BetMGM, if you guys jump in there, deposit $10, make a bet. As soon as you make that bet, you will get an email from BetMGM giving you a full free month to our Odd Shopper Premium tool. It's an amazing tool. Also, 2 free months of insider access with all the expert picks and everything on top of that. Plus, as I mentioned again, your bet up to $1,500 is insured and you get it all back in bet credits if you lose. All right, so let's go over 26.5 points here if you're not taking that spread at -11.5. It's our highest rated bet for NFL right now on Odd Shopper. Next up, Bills and the Jets. Jets are 6.5-point dogs, 40-point total. You know, guys, I kind of labored over this decision for a while, and at first I was like, I think the Jets make a lot of sense. But the more I thought about this, the more I went, well, I'm not going to overreact to that Bills loss. Yes, we were on the under. Yes, we were on a Courtland Sutton touchdown. Yes, we leaned Broncos, but it was really heavy on the under. And Courtland Sutton touchdown, we did pretty well. We missed the Jaleel McLaughlin rushing prop, but outside of that, we had a great Monday night. However, just because we thought this game goes under, and just because we think the Denver Broncos can cover, and just because the Bills fired Dorsey, which, by the way, what a bullshit scapegoating mess that was. He can't make Gabe Davis catch. I mean, he can't make James Cook not fumble. He can't make Josh Allen not throw bad passes on this. Whatever. I digress. All I'm saying here is originally I was looking at Jets +6.5. Well, there's +7s out there. Again, always shop books, guys. Make sure you're getting on the best spots. This is a FanDuel spot for me. FanDuel links down there too. It's bet 5, get 150 bonus bets immediately. So $150 in bonus bets if you're not on FanDuel. This is a FanDuel specific bet. I'm going Bills -6.5. All right. I'm going to tell you why I'm doing it. I don't care that they fired the OC. I don't think it makes a huge difference. Maybe it you know what? If they like the guy, it might fire him up a little bit. But week 1, they lost to the Jets. Yeah, that was September 11th in New York. Aaron Rodgers' debut. He goes down. Zach Wilson. Are you surprised? Are you surprised that they got fired up before and in the game after Rodgers went down and got that W? Of course not. Plus, weird circumstances on how they won that game. But the Bills are at home, and they're laying inside of a touchdown. It all boils down to one thing for me. Zach Wilson stinks. You know, I said on our DFS channel again the other day to Ben, imagine what would happen if they had gotten Josh Dobbs. Just imagine if Josh Dobbs was running this offense instead of Zach Wilson. Imagine what a massive difference that would make. Massive. And we're talking about a guy that's not even a top 20 quarterback in the league. Josh Dobbs would have made a huge difference. But Robert Saleh, for some reason, stubbornly continues to stick with Zach Wilson. They're wasting away Breece Hall. They're wasting away Garrett Wilson. They're wasting away an elite defense and a phenomenal secondary, defensive line, all of them. Amazing. But we come back to the war of attrition. We saw it with all of these decent teams that they've faced recently, even bad teams like the Raiders. But you see it with even the Chargers. It's like, okay, the Chargers didn't win that game. The Jets offense lost it. I think you could see something similar here. Bills -6.5 against the Jets. Next up, Seahawks and Rams. Rams +1 or fade for me. I don't really have much to say about this game. Matthew Stafford coming back makes a difference, but and the Seahawks haven't exactly been blowing teams out recently. They got smoked by Baltimore. They almost lost one on a game-ending field goal last week. I'm not super confident in them right now. If you're getting the Rams as a home dog, fine. This is a game that I don't want any of right now. With the Vikings, though, and the Broncos, Vikings are 2.5-point dogs. I kind of have to just lay the points with the Broncos. We've been backing the Broncos for a while now. I think probably 2 weeks after that loss to Miami, a couple weeks after that game against the Chiefs, because we did bet them at +11. They ended up pushing. And then we bet the Broncos the following week as well. And then we took the under, and it hit. Because Broncos unders are great once the defense comes around. But my biggest point of contention with a lot of people I've spoken to over the past handful of weeks was, hey, I think this Broncos defense is markedly better than we have seen early in the year. Especially, imagine just kind of the public perception of this Broncos defense after they give up 28 or whatever it was to Chicago, 70 to the Miami Dolphins, right? 30 plus to the Washington Commanders. What do you think people are going to say? Even the Jets managed to score points, but they've locked it down since. Absolutely found ways to prevent opposing teams from putting up a lot of points. The Josh Dobbs experiment has been awesome. I love this guy. I truly love what he's doing. But the Broncos at home against the Vikings, I think everyone's going to like the Vikings this week. If I can get the Vikings inside of a field goal, or the Broncos inside of a field goal, I don't see why I wouldn't do that at this point. I'd probably lean under 43.5 because I'm still not entirely confident in this offense. But I do believe that they've figured some things out communication-wise defensively. Also, if the run defense has struggled as much as it has, Alexander Mattison is not the answer for the Vikings. Josh Dobbs is mobile and he can run. That's kind of the X factor here. But he's going to have to do a lot of running because Mattison has just been terrible all season long. Give me the Broncos -2.5. And last up, we got the Eagles and the Chiefs, 45.5-point total. The Chiefs are -3. I'm going to have more on this for Monday when I do my solo Monday video. So make sure to check that out. We'll go over all of our favorite props, touchdown props, sides, totals, you name it. We'll peruse Odd Shopper Premium. Even if you're not a sub, figure out the best spots that we like the most, and we'll try to win ourselves some money. But for now, Chiefs -3 in a spot like this, or really Chiefs money line is where I feel the most comfortable. Because straight up, Patrick Mahomes, straight up in November and forward, go look at his record. Purely dominant. Eye-popping dominance. Also, Andy Reid coming off a bye. Now, Nick Sirianni's team is also coming off a bye, which sucks. Because as an Eagles fan, I'd love to have Sirianni coming off a bye, where Andy Reid, mind you, I've seen many Andy Reid coming off of bye weeks as an Eagles fan. He's with the Eagles for over a decade. But he's phenomenal coming off a bye. Patrick Mahomes has been virtually unbeatable in the months of November, December, and then January into the playoffs. So I'm going to go Kansas City money line. FanDuel has it at -142. Those are the best odds there. Just no matter, and we'll have a lot more on this on Monday, guys, for sure. So stick around for that. But no matter what you do, shop the odds. Shop the odds. Make sure that you're always getting the best bets. If you can get a team at -2.5 instead of -3, if you can get a team at +3.5, like we did with the Carolina Panthers last Thursday instead of 3, which would have not won, do it all the time. Make sure you're on as many books as possible. I've thrown the links in the description too for all of them, but no matter how you do it, just make sure that you're doing that. You're going to save yourselves a lot of money over the long run. And we'll see you guys back here for the next one. Peace.